avoid these 20 fatal mistakes many breeders make when crossing, laying hen breeds. Today, we're going to uncover the hidden pillars of success in chicken breeding, the knowledge that separates masters from apprentices. We know you dream of a flock that's healthy, robust, productive, and boasts that plumage that makes you proud. But what happens when those dreams crash against the reality of weak chicks, infertile eggs, or birds with health issues? The truth is, the path to breeding excellence is riddled with common pitfalls, mistakes that, without realizing it, can sabotage years of effort and passion. It's not enough to just feed and protect your birds. The key lies in understanding the science behind genetics, proper management, and a long-term vision. Ignoring these principles isn't just an oversight, it's a sure ticket to frustration. In this video, we'll reveal the 20 things you should never do if you want to reach that higher level in chicken breeding. From the most subtle genetic failures to the most obvious management oversights, each point is a vital lesson. Get ready to transform your approach, correct those hidden habits, and elevate your hatchery's standard to levels you never imagined. It's time to leave mistakes behind and forge a legendary flock. Let's get started. 1. Ignoring close kinship. One of the most critical and least understood mistakes is inbreeding. That is, breeding closely related birds like parents with offspring or siblings with each other. While it can be used with extreme care in certain very advanced breeding programs, for the average breeder, it's an open door to genetic weakness. Undesirable genes double up, and what you hope to improve ends up deteriorating. The consequences of inbreeding are devastating. You'll see a drastic decrease in chick vitality, increased susceptibility to diseases due to weakened immune systems, and a worrying rise in physical deformities or reproductive problems. Hatch rates will drop, and your birds won't reach their full potential, turning your dream into a genetic nightmare. To avoid this fatal error, the solution is simple but requires discipline. Keep meticulous records. Note the lineage of each bird. Know who's who in your flock. When it's time to breed, introduce new, unrelated blood from reliable sources. This way, you'll ensure the genetic diversity, health, and vigor you desire in your future generations of chickens. 2. Choosing a rooster based only on appearance. It's natural to be drawn to a majestic rooster with vibrant plumage and an imposing posture. However, selecting a breeder based solely on its physical appearance is a superficial mistake that can have profound genetic consequences. A rooster might look perfect on the outside but carry genes for diseases, low production, or undesirable temperaments. The danger lies in the hidden characteristics of its genetic line being passed down to its offspring. If its father had leg problems or its mother was a poor layer, it's very likely those weaknesses will manifest in the next generation. You'd be investing in a breeder that, far from improving your stock, will genetically degrade it with each cross, frustrating your breeding goals. To avoid falling into this trap, the key is deep research. Beyond what you see, inquire about the history of its parents, grandparents, and siblings. Ask about its fertility rate, the egg production of its sisters, the disease resistance of its lineage, and any negative traits that may have appeared. A good breeder will provide this information without hesitation. 3. Underestimating the hen's genetic contribution. There's a common tendency to glorify the breeding rooster, considering it the central piece of genetics in the hatchery. While its role is crucial, ignoring the hen's equal influence is a monumental mistake. She contributes 50% of the genetic material to each chick, and her contribution goes far beyond simply laying the egg. A hen with poor genetic quality, even if fertilized by an excellent rooster, will produce chicks with defects, slower growth rates, low productivity, or structural weaknesses. Her ability to lay fertile eggs, shell quality, maternal instinct, if for natural brooding, and her own physical health are heritable factors that will be directly passed down to her offspring. Therefore, the selection of your breeding hens must be as rigorous as that of your roosters. Choose healthy, vigorous females with an excellent laying rate, good body conformation, and, if relevant, a docile temperament. Invest time in learning about your hen's lineage, and don't underestimate them. They are half of the equation for genetic success in your hatchery. 4. Not having a clear breeding goal. Starting to breed chickens without a defined goal is like sailing aimlessly on the high seas. You can spend a lot of time and effort, but you'll never reach a clear destination. Many novice breeders make the mistake of simply putting together birds they find pretty, hoping for whatever comes out, and the result is invariably a heterogeneous and purposeless flock. When you lack a goal, your crosses are random and don't allow you to select or improve specific characteristics. You want to improve egg production but cross with meat roosters. You seek specific plumage but don't consider breed purity. This lack of direction dilutes any genetic progress and turns your hatchery into a collection of birds without a consistent pattern or improvement. To correct this error, define your goals in writing. Do you want high-producing laying hens, dual-purpose birds, or perhaps a specific breed for ornamental purposes? Once your goal is clear, all your decisions regarding breeder selection, feeding, and management will align to lead you towards that end, transforming your hatchery into a project with purpose and success. 5. Ignoring breed standards. If your purpose is to breed a specific chicken breed, a huge mistake is to ignore that breed's official standards. Each breed has a set of physical, production, and temperament characteristics that define it. Without this knowledge, you'll arbitrarily select breeders, diluting the purity and unique qualities of the breed with each generation. The consequence of this ignorance is the production of birds that don't meet expectations. You'll have chickens that don't resemble the original breed, with plumage defects, inadequate size, conformation problems, or poor performance in the characteristics for which the breed is known. This isn't just a waste of resources, but also harms your reputation as a breeder. The solution is simple. Thoroughly research the standards of the breed you're interested in. Consult guides, specialized books, breeder associations, and experienced breeders. Learn about the ideal weight, body shape, comb type, shank, and plumage color. With this knowledge, you can accurately select your breeders and work to improve the quality and purity of your lineage. Management, feeding, and environment. 6. Forgetting specialized feed for breeders. A common mistake is assuming all chickens can be fed the same diet, regardless of their productive stage. However, breeding birds are not the same as commercial layers or broiler chickens. Their nutritional needs are much higher and more specific, and neglecting them sabotages fertility and offspring quality. A deficient diet in breeders will manifest in various ways. The rooster will have low fertility, resulting in clear or unembryonated eggs. Hens will produce eggs with weak shells, or the embryos inside them won't develop correctly due to a lack of essential vitamins and minerals. This will lead to low hatch rates and weak chicks at birth. To avoid this problem, it's crucial to provide a balanced and specific diet for breeders. This type of feed contains higher levels of protein, fat-soluble vitamins A, D, E, and key minerals like calcium and phosphorus, vital for healthy embryo formation and strong shells. Consult an avian nutrition expert to ensure your birds receive everything they need. 7. Not providing adequate facilities. The environment in which your breeding birds live is as crucial as their genetics and feeding. A frequent mistake is keeping them in stressful facilities. Overcrowded, dirty coops with poor ventilation, extreme temperatures, or excessive noise. This environmental stress directly impacts their reproductive system and overall well-being, decreasing their performance. An inadequate environment can reduce the rooster's fertility. Stress can cause hens to lay fewer or lower quality eggs, and lack of space can lead to fights and injuries that prevent effective mating. Furthermore, an unsanitary environment increases the risk of diseases, compromising the health of the breeders and future chicks. To ensure success, invest in optimal facilities. Provide spacious coops that allow birds to move freely. Make sure they are clean and regularly disinfected. Offer comfortable, dark, and quiet nests for laying, and protect your birds from excessive noise or predators. A serene and secure environment is key to successful reproduction. 8. Ignoring biosecurity. Biosecurity is the first line of defense against diseases in your hatchery, and a fatal mistake is to ignore or underestimate it. Introducing new birds without a strict quarantine period is like opening your home to a plague. These seemingly healthy birds can be carriers of viruses, bacteria, or parasites that will quickly spread throughout your entire flock. The consequences of poor biosecurity are devastating. Disease outbreaks that can decimate your population, chicks born sick or dying prematurely, and significant economic losses. Curing a disease in an entire flock is much more costly and stressful than preventing it, and in some cases, full recovery never comes. The solution is simple but requires discipline. Implement a rigorous quarantine protocol. Every new bird, without exception, must remain in complete isolation for at least 15 to 30 days. During this period, observe them closely, deworm them internally and externally, and ensure they show no signs of illness before allowing their integration with the main group. 9. Neglecting nest and egg hygiene. Many breeders focus on genetics and incubation but forget a fundamental step: the hygiene of nests and eggs before incubation. Allowing nests to be dirty with feces, feathers, or food scraps is a breeding ground for bacteria. Collecting eggs that have been dirty or wet for too long exponentially increases the risk of contamination. Eggs with dirty or contaminated shells introduce bacteria directly into the incubator. These bacteria can penetrate the porous shell and reach the embryo, causing early embryonic deaths or, worse yet, exploding inside the incubator and contaminating all other eggs. The result is a low hatch rate and weak or sick chicks. To avoid this problem, hygiene is paramount. Keep nests clean, dry, and with fresh bedding material, straw, wood shavings. Collect eggs several times a day to prevent them from getting dirty or breaking. If an egg is visibly dirty, it's best not to incubate it. Never wash eggs with cold water or soap, as this removes the protective cuticle. If necessary, gently wipe them with a dry cloth or fine sandpaper. 10. Exposing hatching eggs to extreme temperatures. Proper storage of fertile eggs before incubation is a critical step that is often underestimated. Leaving eggs in places that are too warm, like in direct sunlight or near a heat source, or too cold, like a household refrigerator, can irreversibly damage the embryo before incubation even begins. High temperatures can initiate embryonic development prematurely and then stop it, resulting in early embryonic deaths. Too low temperatures can cause thermal shock or permanently halt embryonic development. In both cases, embryo viability is compromised, leading to eggs that don't hatch. The key to preserving embryo viability is optimal storage. Fertile eggs should be stored in a cool place with a constant temperature between 55 to 65 degrees Fahrenheit, 13 to 18 degrees Celsius, and a relative humidity of 70 to 75%. Gently turn them once or twice a day to prevent the yolk from sticking to the shell. This pre-incubation care ensures the embryo is in the best possible condition for hatching. 11. Rushing the start of breeding. A common mistake due to breeder impatience is putting the rooster and hens together and expecting all eggs to be fertile and ready for incubation immediately. Birds, like any living creature, need a period of adaptation and hierarchy establishment before reproduction becomes effective and consistent. Haste in this case is the enemy of fertility. When a rooster is introduced to a new group of hens, he needs time to get used to his surroundings, establish his dominance over the group, and begin courtship and mating. If you start collecting eggs for incubation from the first or second day, it's very likely that a large portion of them won't be fertilized, as the adaptation and mating process hasn't been sufficient. To ensure a high fertility rate, it's recommended to allow the rooster and breeding hens to cohabitate for at least 7 to 10 days before starting to collect eggs for incubation. This period allows them to adjust, establish mating routines, and ensure that the hen's eggs are being consistently fertilized. Patients will be rewarded with higher quality eggs and more successful hatches. 12. Not identifying eggs from each cross. When you have multiple roosters, groups of hens, or simply want to track the performance of your breeders, an unforgivable mistake is mixing eggs without any identification. Without a marking system, it will be impossible to know which chicks come from which rooster or hen, and therefore, you won't be able to evaluate the effectiveness of your crosses. The direct consequence of this lack of identification is the inability to make informed decisions for the future of your hatchery. You won't know which rooster is producing the strongest chicks, which hen has the best hatch rate, or which genetic combinations are resulting in desirable traits. Your breeding program will become a blind experiment. The solution is simple and effective. Mark each egg with a graphite pencil, never a permanent marker, as the ink can be toxic to the embryo. Include the lay date and a code that identifies the rooster and hen or group of hens from which it came. This practice will allow you to track your breeder's performance and make data-driven decisions. 13. Ignoring the temperament of breeders. Although not a physical characteristic, temperament is a heritable trait often overlooked when selecting breeders. A mistake is choosing excessively aggressive, shy, or nervous birds, thinking it won't affect the offspring. However, parents' behavior can significantly influence their chicks, creating challenges in managing your flock. Breeding birds with poor temperaments can lead to chicks that are difficult to handle, aggressive towards each other, or excessively stressed in the coop. An overly aggressive rooster can injure hens, and very shy hens may be less productive or have trouble adapting to their environment. This not only affects animal welfare but also your own experience as a breeder. When selecting your breeders, pay attention to their character. Choose birds that are alert and intelligent, but don't show signs of excessive aggression or extreme nervousness. A balanced temperament will facilitate flock management, promote better coexistence among birds, and contribute to a more harmonious environment in your hatchery. 14. Not keeping detailed records. Relying solely on memory to manage a breeding program is a mistake that will cost you dearly in the long run. Without meticulous records of each mating, lay date, incubation date, hatch rate, characteristics of hatched chicks, and any health problems or anomalies, you'll be flying blind in your genetic improvement process. Lack of records prevents you from learning from your mistakes and successes. You won't be able to identify which genetic lines are most productive, which have recurring problems, or which breeder combinations yield the best results. Each season will feel like starting from scratch, and your progress will be slow and frustrating, if any at all. Make it a habit to maintain a comprehensive breeding log. Write down everything: mating dates, number of eggs collected per hen, fertility percentage, hatch rate, birth weights, and any characteristics, positive or negative, of the chicks. This data is your treasure. It will allow you to analyze patterns, make informed decisions, and professionally optimize your breeding program. 15. Mixing birds of different ages and sizes without consideration. A frequent mistake, especially in small hatcheries, is not considering age and size differences between the rooster and hens when forming breeding groups. A very young rooster might not yet be fertile or lack the maturity to mate effectively, while a very old one might have reduced fertility or mobility problems. Furthermore, a significant disparity in size can hinder or prevent mating. A rooster too large for his hens can cause them injuries during copulation, while one that's too small might simply not reach the appropriate size for successful mating. This leads to infertile eggs and unnecessary stress in your flock. To maximize fertility rates and minimize injuries, select breeders that are in their productive prime and have compatible size and weight. Ensure the rooster is the right age to be fertile and active, and that the hens are at their best laying period. Physical compatibility is key for successful and healthy matings. 16. Keeping low-performing breeders. It's understandable to become attached to a rooster or hen that has been a good breeder in the past. However, a costly mistake is keeping these individuals in your breeding program past their performance peak. The fertility and genetic quality of birds, as well as their egg production, decrease with age. Holding on to old breeders who no longer yield desired results is an obstacle to progress. An aging breeder might have reduced fertility, producing many clear eggs or weak chicks. Furthermore, their genes, though excellent in their youth, may not be the most suitable for future generations if you're seeking constant improvement. Keeping them in the program will only lead to frustration, low hatch rates, and a decline in the overall quality of your flock. The key to a successful hatchery is constant evaluation and making tough decisions. Keep a record of each breeder's fertility and offspring quality. When a bird's productivity significantly declines or age-related health issues appear, it's time to remove it from the breeding program and replace it with new, vigorous blood that will propel your line forward. 17. Not learning from each breeding cycle. Every breeding season, whether a resounding success or an apparent failure, is a goldmine of information. A critical mistake is not analyzing the results of each cycle. What worked, what didn't, and why. If you don't take the time to reflect on your experiences, you're missing a valuable learning opportunity and will be condemned to repeat the same mistakes over and over. If you don't evaluate your fertility rates, hatch percentages, chick viability, and the manifestation of desired traits, you won't be able to identify patterns or correct deficiencies. Your breeding program will stagnate, and genetic improvement will be a pipe dream instead of a reality. Without this analysis, there's no real progress. To turn your experiences into knowledge, keep a detailed breeding diary. Note all relevant data, and at the end of each cycle, take the time to review them. Which crosses worked best? Were there fertility issues with any rooster? What diseases appeared? Use this information to adjust your strategies, select better breeders, and refine your techniques for the next season. 18. Obsessing over a single trait. It's tempting to focus on a single trait when selecting breeders, especially if it's very striking, like a specific plumage color or a particular comb. However, a mistake is prioritizing that single characteristic to the point of neglecting other fundamental aspects. This tunnel vision can lead to genetic imbalance and the appearance of unexpected problems. For example, if you only select for the brightest color, you might inadvertently be breeding birds with weak immune systems, low egg production, or physical conformation problems. A hen might have perfect plumage but be sterile, or have an unmanageable temperament. Obsession with a single trait leads to birds that are beautiful, but not functional or healthy. The key to a successful breeding program is to seek a balance of desirable attributes. Define your priorities, but always consider overall health, vitality, productivity, physical conformation, and temperament in addition to the specific characteristic you're interested in. Aim to develop well-rounded, balanced birds, not just single-trait specimens. 19. Becoming desperate when faced with setbacks or losses. Animal breeding is a rewarding but also challenging activity. An emotional and mental mistake is to become overly discouraged and frustrated by inevitable setbacks. Eggs that don't hatch, chicks that don't survive, or even the loss of a breeding bird. If you allow every setback to sink you, your passion and perseverance will quickly dwindle. Problems are part of the process. Low hatch rates, unexpected diseases, or failures in certain crosses are not necessarily indicators that you're a bad breeder, but rather opportunities to learn and improve. An attitude of desperation prevents objective analysis of the situation and deprives you of the ability to find solutions. Face challenges with a resilient mindset. Analyze what went wrong, find the root cause, consult with other breeders or veterinarians, and adjust your approach. Every problem is a lesson in disguise. Stay calm, learn from your mistakes, and use the experience to strengthen your knowledge and practices, turning every obstacle into a stepping stone towards your success. 20. Not seeking knowledge and advice. The worst mistake of all is believing you know everything or refusing to seek knowledge and advice from outside sources. The world of chicken breeding is vast and complex, with constant advancements in genetics, nutrition, management, and disease prevention. Closing yourself off to your own ideas and not being open to learning from others is a direct brake on your progress. If you don't stay updated, you'll miss the opportunity to implement better practices, learn new techniques, or solve problems that others have already faced. You'll remain stagnant while other breeders advance, and your results could be inconsistent or disappointing. Lack of humility to learn is an invisible but powerful barrier. Maintain an open mind and a constant learning spirit. Read specialized books, subscribe to poultry magazines, join breeder forums and groups, attend seminars, and, most importantly, don't hesitate to contact experienced breeders for advice. Knowledge is power, and in breeding, power translates into healthier, more productive birds and a more successful hatchery. And there you have it, fellow breeders. These 20 deadly traps are the pitfalls most face, but which you, armed with this knowledge, can expertly navigate. Remember that excellence in chicken breeding isn't a destination, but a constant journey of learning, observation, and dedication. Every avoided mistake, every improved practice, brings you one step closer to that dream flock you so desire. Don't let your passion wither from the frustration of poor results. Transform your approach, apply these lessons, and you'll see your chicks strengthen, your hens thrive, and your pride as a breeder grow with each new generation. Success is within your reach. You just have to be willing to learn and to act. Now, if this content has been valuable to you, and if you're ready to take your hatchery to the next level, subscribe to our channel. Don't miss any secrets to mastering poultry breeding. Hit the notification bell, be the first to receive our new guides and tips. Leave us a comment. We want to know what other topics you'd like us to explore, and how you apply these tips in your hatchery. Share this video. Help other breeders avoid these mistakes and build their own path to success. To your success, fellow breeder. Until next time.